I preach, you're most often getting less than 100% of me, which is crazy, isn't it? I've gotten distracted while preaching by wondering what you're thinking about as you listen. I've wondered about my clothes, or about my hair, or about my hand gestures, or my verbal tics. I think I just said again. I've thought about my to-do list. I've anticipated what's coming next in the worship service and what I'll say or do then. Most of me can be engaged in preaching, but there's a part of me that you don't see beneath the surface. And we all have this. A rich inner world that we experience, even as others mainly see our actions and hear our words. The iceberg illustration is a helpful one because, well, only a little bit, maybe 10% of the iceberg is visible above the surface. That's the external activity of life. It's what other people see when they look at your life. These are your decisions, your behaviors. And what often happens is that followers of Jesus are nice people above the surface. You know, they attend church, they pray, they try to treat others with kindness and respect. But notice that 90% of the iceberg is hidden under the water. That represents what's really going on deep beneath the surface of your life. This is the kind of stuff that other people don't see. These are your motives and your fears and your jealousies and your sadness and your anger and your hurts and your griefs. And well, whatever it is, I might be thinking about in addition to what I'm preaching. It's the stuff that usually comes out in times of stress and pressure. And this is the stuff that Jesus wants to access to transform your inner world. Jesus wants 100% of you, not just the external, visible 10%. And as your pastor, I want to invite us to dive deeper. I want to invite us to have Jesus go under the iceberg of our lives. I want us to give Jesus full access to our inner world. So together today, we will know yourself that you may know God. And when we do that, we can grow emotionally and grow deeper spiritually. When we give Jesus full access, we're combining two powerful things. Now, on the one hand, we have emotional health. It's the ability to be self-aware and to love others well. This is stuff like being aware of your blind spots, your insecurities, your triggers, how your family of origin and your childhood impacts you, and how others experience you. Now, when you combine emotional health with contemplative spirituality, that's slowing down to be with Jesus, when you pause in your day to practice God's presence through silence and stillness and reflection on Scripture, when you anchor yourself in God's love, well, then you bring these two things together. Emotional health plus contemplative spirituality. And these two things together can ignite a spiritual revolution in your innermost being. And this is especially true if you feel stuck or stalled in your journey with God. If you feel fragmented, scattered, disoriented, or run down, and maybe we all feel a little bit that way after the past 2 years, don't we? Putting these two things together will have a huge impact on your life. Today we're continuing in our Emotionally Healthy Spirituality series. This series is based on the Emotionally Healthy Spirituality book by Peter Scazzero, and it's been adapted from a series that we're using from Liquid Church. And throughout this series, we're encouraging you to engage this content not just in worship services, but in a small group. If you haven't signed up for a small group yet, I want to encourage you to do it today. It's the last day to sign up for a small group. Now, if you do it, we'll give you a free copy of the book, Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. Last week, we talked about the problem of emotionally unhealthy spirituality, it's based on the creation of a false self. The false self is the personality that we project to God and others to impress, survive, avoid exposure, or get our way. And the truth is that we all have a false self, me included. Our false self is the part of us that's fearful, defensive, self-promoting, blame-shifting, manipulative, people-pleasing, avoids weakness, and is not self-aware. None of us like to admit we have a false self. So we pretend to be somebody that we're not. You see, we don't just wear masks on Halloween. Most of us are wearing masks all the time. We do this to try to impress God or to impress other people. And well, the thing is, Christians can be really good at this wearing a mask thing. The biggest challenge I regularly face as a pastor is to be something that I'm not. I can get so steeped in Christianese, talking and acting like a Christian, that it's easy for me to go through the Christian behaviors, the 10% that you all see, but to have a disconnect with the other 90% of me. It's possible that I can put on my Christian pastor mask and I can offer to pray for you while secretly not believing that prayer actually makes a lick of difference. It's possible that I can preach a rousing sermon with great points and illustrations and will not hear a single word of it and how it might apply to me. I can say or do all the right things while not believing they make a difference. There can be a disconnect there if I'm not careful, which leads to our first question for discussion. When have you experienced a disconnect between what you're doing and what you're thinking or feeling? Let's take a moment and discuss that.